in 3 seconds. Iqbal, salam alaikum.
Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
Good.
We're live, by the way.
Okay, can everyone come
Okay,
back?
yes.
Please, we'll just do a check, live check. Am I looking straight into the camera now? Hello?
Yep, you are.
Eyes are straight in the camera, correct?
Yes.
Good, because sometimes I look up because I feel that the camera's up, but it's right here.
Now it looks fine to me.
Yeah. I'm so sleepy right now, my God, I hardly slept. Priyanjali, you needed a video from me, right? Priyanjali. Priyanjali. Priyanjali is not in.
I think because we're live right now, so that's why maybe she's not responding.
Why does this come up over there when I just go here? I don't know what happens here. So Banu, the show is going to be for 30 minutes, okay?
Yep, sure.
So you know what, when it becomes too long, it becomes a problem for me, then I'm not left with content also.
Yeah. By the way, we're live, so we're already streaming, so people can listen to us right now. Just
Okay, good. Hello everyone, this is Attorney Gehi and welcome to this program, Green Card with Gehi. And as promised, today we are going to talk about the upcoming H1B visa program. The instant program is an attorney advertisement under the laws of the state of New York. Prior results by the firm do not guarantee a future outcome. So let's begin with the headlines. And before we get to the headlines, some very important people with me today. We have Banu in our team and who's ready to shoot all the questions. And of course, the wonderful Priyanjali joining us to give us backend support. And above all, we also have Tariq, who is excellent at making sure that things go fine. So thank you to my team. And we are going to talk about the H1B visa program. And Banu has a lot of questions. And if you have any questions about the H1B visa program, about any immigration matter, we have a very good question and answer box here. So this is a live show. So feel free to ask your questions on the question and answer box and not on the chat box. So let's go to the chat first to see what we have right now here. So we have nothing on the chat. So yes, sir. Tariq is here to the host, and he's also make sure that everything is good. H1B program. What do we need to know? First is there's a very old saying: on your marks, get set, get ready, and go. So it's time for you to follow those rules of on your marks, get set, get ready, and go. That's what you need to do with the H1B visa program. Now, the people who actually go for the H1B visa program, most of them are students, and even some of them are here on a visitor's visa, and some of them may be on an H4 visa, or they may be on an O visa. So remember that if you are planning on going for the H1B, this is the time for you to start speaking to your employer. Now, a simple example is that you are on OPT, optional practical training. What are the first step you need to do? And you're working for a small company. We help a lot of these small companies that have not done H1s before. So you have to talk to them and tell them, sir, my OPT is about to expire, or even if it's going to expire later. So just to let you know, this is how we're going to speak to your boss, that there are 65,000 visas. And if you're a master's degree holder, you can let them know that there's an additional cap of 20,000 visas. And if the company says, yes, we are very much interested in your skills, let them know that H1B may be the way for you to go. Now, how would I approach this issue? First thing is I want this OPT and I'm allowed to work for this company. And this company is very much excited, and they're very happy to have you on board. And you are an accountant and you have this fantastic master's degree and your H1B is expiring because you're not covered under the STEM occupation. Immediately, I would discuss with my employer and let them know that, the employer will say that we've never done this H1B before. So then immediately let them know that it's not as harrowing as you think it to be. But if you are interested in doing it, I can discuss with an attorney, and go with an attorney who's very good at kind of advising the company, especially when they're doing the H1Bs for the first time. Because, a lot of due diligence is involved when you're doing your first time H1B for a company. So we've done it for several companies. We've done it for people in the garment industry, in the diamond industry, in accounting practices. So most of these American companies are not familiar with the process. And after that, how does the process begin is sometimes the beneficiary tells them, okay, I can speak with Attorney Gehi and we can discuss with his team of how the entire process will work. So then the employer gets a feeling that yes, this is a possibility because they want to know many things. What does the employer want to know? They want to know what are prevailing wages under the H1B visa. What are the requirements of the H1B visa, which means you should have attained, the job should require the minimum of a bachelor's degree from the United States in order to properly perform the job. Then other than that, it should be a bona fide job offer. Plus the company should be paying you the salary, which is exactly or it's equivalent to American people making the salary in this country. Then other than that, the employer wants to know what are prevailing wages under H1B visa regulations and what is the LCA. And not many people talk about the labor condition application. So for people like who are interested in the law and who want to know the law, very clearly, there's a big difference between a labor certification application and a labor condition application. Labor condition applies to H1Bs. So the difference between labor certification and labor condition is the word condition. So for an H1B, you need a labor condition application. And before you get hired, there are some rules to be followed by the company. You need to get the prevailing wages in order. Before that, you need to register, for the lottery, which is critically important, and start the registration process. We can even contact a firm if the company wants to register. And once you register, then there's a $10 fee that has to be paid to the government for each registrant, for each application that you want to file for. You can file for multiple applicants also from your company's end. And once if there's a number, the registration can be done, we can work with you, and we can make sure that you comply with the process properly in that regard. Then after that, what happens is that immigration picks it under random lottery system. So suppose you have these 10 employees, the chances that 4 of them may be picked. That's good news. So those 4 are selected. Then after that, what happens is that you have to actually put 2 conspicuous notices on the company's bulletin board or into two legible good locations that you are going to sponsor an H1B visa applicant. But the most important thing here is that you have to make sure that those postings are properly done, because if you're an employer and if you're misguided by a lawyer or by somebody else, there are major fines and penalties from the US Department of Labor if you do not comply with the requirements of the H1B visa program. So now, then after that, what happens is that you've got the prevailing wages, you can go for the OES wage survey, got the survey done, then now it's time for you to file the LCA. Very technical job, and it's very important that the right job occupation is very important for you, because if the job occupation is not correct, you can have a serious problem when you want to apply for the H1B visa. So make sure that the job title, the qualifications, and above all, there's a nexus between the company and the job. So a fantastic example that comes to my mind in this regard is that someone asked me a question that, Mr. Gehi, what does the word nexus mean under immigration law? I said, take an example that I'm a dentist over here, and there's this big hotel that needs a general manager, and the dentist has only worked as a dentist. So can this dentist work as a general manager in this huge chain of restaurants? The answer is no. The dentist has a bachelor's degree, but is there a nexus between the job, which is requiring an MBA, rather than a dentist over here? The answer is no. So the most important thing that lawyers should look at is whether there's a nexus, whether the job requires the attainment of a bachelor's degree or its equivalent if you have a foreign law degree. That is very important. And other than that, the employer has to pay the prevailing wages. Now, what I've seen in the past, which is kind of so sad, a lot of IT professionals, they get into trouble when they work for some small IT companies. This is a big problem. So once I heard a story recently that an IT consultant told this particular candidate that they're going to apply for his H1B. And then they applied for the H1B. And after that, the H1B got approved. And this person was on bench for 6 months. So during the bench period, the IT company told them, hey, listen, why don't you do this? I'm going to give the pay stubs. You return the money to me in cash. That's a major violation of the law. That's a big violation of the law. And that can also kind of, get you into troubled waters. The employee can be in trouble, the employer can be in trouble, because you have violated RICO. RICO is commonly referred to as the racketeering and corrupt organizations. And if the Department of Labor finds that out, that there's some kind of activity that was kind of unlawful, you may be subjected to civil and criminal penalties. So be careful when you're doing this. And if you're a major company, it's a good idea for you if you're sponsoring a lot of H1Bs to have an outside auditor. And the reason I say that have an outside auditor is because you already have a staff attorney or an outside lawyer who's doing your H1Bs right now. But it's good for you to, if you have a lot of H1Bs working for you, it's good for you to have an outside auditor come in once in a month to check your records. Or because we've done it for companies, we've advised them. This is important because that these things keep your books in order. Because the DOL is not going to tell you, or immigration is not going to tell you when they're going to come. They may come in and do a random audit. So be very careful, folks, when you are applying for H1Bs. Make sure that exactly everything is correct. So for the H1B now, I'm this candidate, I have this H1B skill set. My employer applied for the LCA. So the first step is that the LCA has to be approved, which is the labor condition application. Wow, well and dandy, everything got approved. Then the next thing, which is very important, is to make sure that you file the petition. And during the filing of the petition, it's very important for the employer especially to cross the I's and the T's on the immigration law. The I's and the T's means making sure the prevailing wages were properly done, the LCA was properly taken care of, the job title is okay, and above all, the job responsibilities play a very, very critical role in the H1B visa process. And if your duties are not properly spelled out, be ready, you're going to get an RFE. An RFE under immigration law means a request for evidence. And the request for evidence can be a small half a page request. It can be 5 pages or 4 pages. So we've been dealing with very difficult RFEs in our firm because that's what we do here. And when you get a difficult RFE, you have a choice. You can even change your lawyer. And generally those things happen when, your initial submission was lacking a lot. So try to file your petitions in such a way that you give them so much meat in your application that you should not get an RFE. Of course, it is within the discretion of the USCIS to issue or not to issue an RFE. So then once the RFE is properly submitted, then after that immigration makes a determination of the H1B visa application. So if you are in the US on a student visa, most people prefer applying for change of status. But if you're an employee abroad, then you have to make sure that you mark that the interview should be held at the consulate abroad. And after that, the H1B is approved. But if you have a spouse, make sure that you include your spouse by filing another application for it and your children under 21. This is something that most people forget. So that's exactly the nuts and bolts of the H1B visa. And common occupations like accountant, doctors, lawyers, engineers, physical therapists, even like top-notch, public relations people. So H1Bs apply in every industry. So the common myth is that H1B only applies, in occupations such as computer science. That is an incorrect, answer. It also applies to architecture. It applies to civil engineers. So a host of different industries are covered under the H1B visa, program. Technical managers who are very, very highly technical skills and who are brilliant degrees, and if the job is very difficult to perform, of course, even a top-notch technical writer can be required by a company. And but there's one thing which I've seen that H1Bs don't go well with. I don't know why. Never understood the logic, which I feel that the AO decision needs to be reviewed at this time, and that's about chefs. So if you're a chef, try to shy away from the H1B because I don't know why they do not approve a lot of chefs for the H1B visa program. So based on my experience, I've done so many H1Bs that it becomes kind of a habit for me to pinpoint where the errors may happen or what may not happen. Common occupations which I see in network engineers, systems analysts, program analysts, be a little careful about it, and senior developers, important software architects. Those are some of the most important things which I see in the profession wherein people file for sure. So folks, now it's 2:15 and Banu has a lot of questions for me from my viewers. And don't forget, if you have any questions, we have this wonderful box over here to ask us questions, and we'll be happy to take the Q&A over here. And this is the Q&A box. Feel free to ask us questions. So Banu, welcome. It's such a pleasure having you today. Do you have any questions for me? Banu, you're mute, and if you could unmute.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Attorney Gehi. We do have a couple of questions. One of them is this person saying, I want to apply for the H1B visa lottery this year. What is the process?
So as I mentioned, he has to get in touch with his employer at the stage. And after he gets in touch with his employer, and he needs to discuss that I need an H1B, then it's time for him to get in touch with an attorney, especially because in March, the registration is starting on March 1st, and on the 18th, I think it's going to end. So make sure that exactly he should be kind of proceeding immediately by speaking to his employer at the stage.
Okay. What will happen if my H1B employment is terminated by my employer?
All right, that's a very good question. We've had actually people coming to us whose H1Bs were terminated and they were very nervous. So in these cases, what we do is that he has 60 days either to leave the country or to find another employer or to change his visa to another category. So if he's in this situation, I think he should definitely consult a lawyer and try to get his life in order. But I know those are very, very kind of sad situations, but such is life, and unfortunately things happen, and when you are in that situation, it would be much better that you consult an attorney. Yeah.
Okay. And can a spouse of an H1B visa holder work? That's another question.
That's it. Immediately, if you're on an H1B for the first time, the answer is no. But after 6 years, the spouse can apply, for the H4 visa to which they'll be allowed to work. Once the I-140 is approved based upon the situation, then I think it's the better thing to do in that case is to apply for the 485 if the priority date is current and get a work permit out also from there.
Okay. And can you please tell us about the proposed new rule, the H1B lottery based on wage levels?
Yeah, about the wage levels, they want to check that exactly that that you're in compliance with what Americans are getting paid in that profession, and you have to make sure that you pay the employee the exact amount. You cannot underpay the employee, because if you're underpaying the employee, means you are kind of basically committing violation under rules and regulations of the Department of Labor. You're trying to kind of saturate the US market. So I would strongly recommend that those issues should be discussed with the lawyer immediately. And so, especially when things like this happen, it's better at times that if you're unable to pay the employee, to let the employee go, or find another job, especially if you cannot pay the employee. Okay.
And one of the last questions I have here is, what are some tips to avoid an RFE?
See, firstly, there's no golden or magic rule in which you can avoid an RFE. But as I mentioned, the most important thing is for every employer is to make sure that they cross the I's and the T's in the beginning. And what I've seen, Banu, is that especially if you're a new company, and for example, if you're a new software consulting company, and if you're hiring these consultants, be very careful, because the scrutiny is going to be very high, and go with a highly experienced lawyer, because it's not easy to get your first H1B approved or your first 10, because your company is viewed under a microscope, under such situations.
Great. I think that's all the questions we have for today. So thank you, Attorney Gehi.
Yeah, so a few other questions that came to me is that, which is very important, that, I'm on H1B for the past 2 years. When can I begin my green card? I said, anytime at the stage you can begin your green card. And how long will it take? So if you're beginning your green card process, if you're not from India or China, the good news is that if everything goes well, I would say, just to be an average timing you consider is 1.5 years, but it seems a pretty fair timeline for you to do so. The next question was that whether my family can get a green card. If you're married, your spouse can get the green card. And if you have children, then your children under 21 can qualify for the green card.
We have one more question. How long is it valid for, H1B visa?
An H1B is valid for a period of 3 years, and it can be extended for another 3 years. So you can be on an H1B visa for a period of 6 years.
Great.
So folks, this is about H1Bs, and If you have any questions, as I said, you all can kind of basically shoot us your questions over here. And this is a live show, and or you can share this video, circulate it with your friends, and if you like this video, always put a nice thumbs up. That'd be greatly appreciated. And if you have any situation wherein exactly you're scared to talk to your employer, and if you're about to kind of finish your OPD, that the best thing for you to do is not to be nervous, because what's the worst thing that can happen? He may just tell you a no, but it's time for you as a beneficiary to open up and just demonstrate to your employer that yes, I am the employer you're looking for and I can do all this, and tell him to consider you to file for an H1B, and we'll be happy to support you. I know it's not an easy task sometimes speaking to an employer, discussing about the H1B, and even if it's a first time company, because we've handled H1Bs from small companies too, that are located all over the United States. And the most common question that I got is, Mr. Gehi, I'm scared to talk to my employer. Please don't be scared. You have our support. But remember the saying that fortune favors the brave. When the brave get going, the going gets great. So open up and let them know that listen, you're ready to work hard, but this is the prevailing wage for an H1B. And I can promise you, if you open up, a lot of miracles can happen in your life. Now, some other question that came in is that what happens if I don't get selected in the H1B quota? So not many people will be able to answer you this question, but I have an answer for people because I believe in thinking outside the box. Try something which I'm going to tell you today. Try to look for a cap exempt H1B. So like all these big not-for-profits, apply for a job there because they can always sponsor you. That's critically important. Otherwise, consider the O visa if you're brilliant, or consider the EB1 if you're absolutely brilliant. You may directly qualify for the green card, or consider the national interest waiver if you're Mr. Brilliant or Miss Brilliant, because you can directly apply for the green card without having a sponsor. So folks, it also depends on the type of legal guidance you're going to get, especially when you are on a student visa, especially when you are here on a non-immigrant visa, and if you are trying to work towards a green card. It is a process. And sometimes there are employees who talk to the employer and they tell them, no, I'm comfortable with this lawyer. And if you can convince your employer, of course we'll be there for you. So at the end of the day, make sure that you take charge of your application. Please do not wait for the H1B visa application until the last minute, because it is a lottery system. And if you're going to discuss with your employer a little late, you may miss the bus. So just as a well-wisher of the community of all our people from different countries who are aiming towards the H1B visa, make sure that start talking immediately and get your paperwork in order and try to move towards the H1B. And one of the good things about the H1B, and H1B has a dual intent. Now people ask me, what is a dual intent? Ready to listen, folks? This is the beauty of it. And I'm going to explain it to you like a layman. So my H1B got approved, and right now I am based in Germany. And now I'm going to come to America to work on an H1B. My H1B was approved for the first time, and I'm very excited about it. And now I have, a meeting with the consulate in Frankfurt. Now, at this stage, even if I tell the consulate officer that, hey, after my H1B visa, I am going to live in the United States of America, the officer cannot deny a visa. Because H1B follows the dual intent doctrine. Under the dual intent doctrine, you can even tell the officer that later on you have plans of immigrating to the United States and he cannot revoke your visa, provided the job offer is bona fide, and if all your ducks are in order, then you cannot encounter any problem. Another important question which I got from an H1B visa holder right now. He is stuck in a foreign country right now, and he's from New York, and he's been stuck there for 2 years because of 221G, but then the officer has said that the case needs to be administratively processed. What are the options? You can apply for a mandamus under 28 USC 1361. You apply for a mandamus, and the good thing is that once you apply for the mandamus, the good news is that if that gets approved, you can come to the United States of America. So that is great news, and folks, I believe, we've had a very good session, and if you have any questions, easy way to reach us is at info@gehilaw.com, and our website is www.gehilaw.com, and we have 3 offices in the state of New York, but we service clients from all over the United States and the world. So if any immigration matter that involves immigration, including sponsoring your spouse, deportations, family-based immigration, EB1 visa category, national interest waivers, deportations, immigration detention, sponsoring artists, entertainers, performers, we do it all. So visit us at www.gehilaw.com, and our phone number is 718-263-5999, and our personal consultations are free. And the number for the Ozone Park office is 718-577-0711, and the number for the Jamaica office is 718-764-6911. Thank you, and we'll be back again next week, same time, same place, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the next week's program is very, very important. It is going to be advanced issues in the H1B visa processing. Advanced issues in H1B visa processing. So if any question about immigration, remember gehilaw.com. Don't forget Green Card with Gehi. Next week, same place, same time, with our dear friends. We'll be back again. And the last and important thing, don't forget to share this video. And if you like us, give us a thumbs up. Thank you all.